Incumbent governments tend not to do well in parliamentary by-elections, and this was obviously taking place in very difficult circumstances following the resignation of the former Labour MP. There were 6 votes in it in the end. Reform from the very outset had said that this was a by-election that they were going to win. They were well ahead on the polls. In the end, it was the closest by-election result in British political history.
Yes. We're talking about the 16th safest seat in the whole of the country, and you've lost. Why?
Keir Starmer was missing in action. You say he was at the Vatican. Now, I understand he had to attend the Pope's funeral. People in Runcorn might be a little bit offended to think that the leader couldn't find the time to go and speak to them. But the most important thing is, to what extent is the Labour Party actually listening to voters when they're saying to them, look, 11,000 small boats came to this country unchecked. 11,000 people came to this country on small boats, unchecked. Immigration is out of control. Winter fuel cap is a disaster affecting millions of people, and you've done nothing about it. That's why you are in a situation now where this by-election, 6 votes may have made the difference, but ultimately this is the overturning of a massive Labour majority.
How do you explain away what's happened? I mean, you can't blame it all on the Conservatives or on Mike Amesbury, the former Labour MP for Runcorn and Helsby, can you? Because even where you've won mayoral elections, you've lost so much support and it's ended up being a pretty tight race. What that seems to indicate is, surely, that the government is not addressing a lot of the issues that ordinary people up and down the country have got concerns about.
When we were elected to government last July, we were elected on a platform of change. And look, I recognise that people are impatient for change. I'm impatient for that change. The government's impatient for that change.
Even in Doncaster, the Labour candidate there said there were 3 mistakes made by the Labour government, and one that is continually cropping up is the cutting of winter fuel allowance. Do you accept that this has damaged Labour's any loyalty to Labour at a local level?
When we got into government last July, we inherited a mess. The public finances were a mess.
I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt you. We have a limited amount of time. I have heard this from senior ministers throughout the Labour Party. I know you say you have inherited a mess, but the fact is you've made decisions. And it's those decisions that you have made, such as cutting winter fuel, which went against what people thought you were doing, which is now affecting people's trust, Labour voters' trust in the party.
We had to make tough decisions when we got into government to fix the country's finances. And winter fuel was a tough decision. But just last month, pensioners got more money in their pockets, up to £470, because of our commitment to the triple lock, something that the Tories have cast into doubt just this week. So, you know, pensioners are better off because of that triple lock. We have had to take those tough decisions. We're putting money into the NHS, waiting lists down 6 months in a row because of the investment that we've put in. But we know we need to go do more. We know we need to go further and faster.
The reason you've lost the 16th safest seat that the party enjoyed is because people want change. The change they want is you out of power. You take from this. If you can't hold your 16th safest seat, you're in a world of pain, aren't you?
I don't accept that, Nick. And as I said, incumbent governments tend not to do well in by-elections. But we are starting to deliver the change that people voted for last July. It takes time, and we know we need to go further and faster on that.
Do you not think they've also now given up on Labour with the promises to smash the gangs, the removal of the Rwanda scheme, no intention at all to reform the ECHR?
Well, the Conservatives' Rwanda gimmick cost £700 million of taxpayers' money and resulted in only 4 volunteers going to Rwanda. Instead, we are getting on with going after the criminal gangs, giving the police anti-terrorism powers to go after those gangs. So smashing the gangs, but also one of the things that happened under the Conservative government was a complete collapse in returns.
Yeah, you list all that. Sounds great. What impact is it having? We're having more illegal immigrants than ever before.
Reform's offering something you're not offering. What is it?
Well, change takes time, and we're beginning through our plan for change to make those changes, like the national minimum wage, like getting waiting lists out. We know that people aren't feeling the full effects of that yet, and we want to go further and faster. You know, there are still too many people on waiting lists. We want to get them down even further.
Ellie Reeves, I do understand what you're saying, but what I would say is that Reform has 5 MPs now. Labour has the majority, a significant majority. So Reform is a much smaller voice. Yet there are voters in Runcorn and Helmsby who believe Reform, with just 4, now 5 MPs, will do a better job than Labour with the majority. What does that say to you?
You know, when we came into government in July, we found that the country's finances were in a far worse state than we knew. Public services on their knees as well. So we had to make tough and difficult decisions to stabilise the economy. But under Labour, pensioners just last month are getting up to an extra £470 in their pensions because of the triple lock, something that the Conservatives have cast doubt on.
It'll be noticeable to every Good Morning Britain viewer up and down the country, right? You're not answering the question on immigration or on the winter fuel payment.
For Labour supporters, 10 months in, roughly, I think it is, Ellie Reeves. If you had a honeymoon period, it's damn brief. You're in the nightmare period now, aren't you?
Well, look, Runcorn wasn't the only election that took place yesterday. And if you look at the West of England combined authority, well, look at the mayoral contests that have taken place. We've held the West of England combined authority, we've held the Doncaster mayor, the North Tyneside mayor.
Quite close in some of those, though, Ellie. You must allow that. It was quite close.
Well, I don't think we should forget that we did hold those mayoralties. Nigel Farage held Liz Truss's mini budget that crashed the economy. It's one of the greatest Conservative budgets. We're also not sure about electoral pacts between Reform and the Conservatives. For example, in Runcorn, Esther McVeigh, a senior Conservative MP in the region, said that the Conservatives shouldn't campaign in Runcorn. They should leave it to Reform. Robert Jenrick has talked about a coalition between Reform and the Conservatives. So actually, I think that, you know, Conservatives and Reform need to come clean about those backroom deals. If you vote for Conservative, do you get Reform? If you vote for Reform, do you get Conservative?